Friends and family, distinguished guests, once again, welcome to Sydney and Tim's wedding reception. Don't they look fabulous tonight? The love story begins on a slightly blustery and wet April 30th in 1996. Timothy Raymond Idens made his grand entrance to the world as his mom and dad, Dana and Sherry, were simply delighted to welcome him. A scant 83 days later, Brad and Joanne were elated to bring Sydney Ann Moore into being on October 29th of the same year. Both Sydney and Tim grew up in and around Gahanna and enjoyed energetic childhoods. Sydney pursued dance and cheer from a young age through her senior year of high school, and Tim played a bit of football and a great deal of baseball throughout his younger years. Eventually, their paths would cross as they ended up in Spanish classrooms across the hall from each other at Gahanna Lincoln High School. Tim was unavailable at the moment, so they considered each other great friends. Sydney let him borrow her pillow at one point after Tim had finished the Ohio graduation test so he could sleep while his classmates finished theirs. And because Sydney was unattached at that moment, she remembers Tim a bit differently than he remembers her. She said, quote, "When I became interested, I thought, wow, he's super tall, which is good for me, being tall myself. And he was a hot baseball player with a nice butt." Things progressed from there, and the summer of 2013, between their sophomore and junior year of high school, they started small, hanging out at Sydney's house on a trampoline with Declan, and then to a more formal first date, an annual Diamond Dog baseball game with the Clippers. Tim thought the date went well and that her family was incredibly welcoming. Things really progressed even further after the baseball game when Sydney drove Tim home and they kissed in the front seat of her mom's BMW in Tim's driveway. Sydney quipped, quote, "The last time I was that nervous driving was when I took my driving test for the third time." Their love continued to smolder for a couple of months. Tim asked a confused Sydney one day, quote, "What would you say if I asked you to be my girlfriend?" She thought they were already together. And then, one day in August, at Sydney's parents' lake house on Buckeye Lake, in the most romantic of places, inside a blow-up pool, Tim was the first to say, "I love you," followed closely behind by Sydney some 5 seconds later. They both mentioned that saying it came easy as their friendship before was a great foundation. The tale of the proposal is most certainly different from each vantage point. Sydney remembers it as a typical date night for the two of them, dinner and a movie. She retained her OSU sweatshirt, jeans, and glasses, and eschewed makeup for the evening as she was, and I'm sorry if this is news to some of you, 7 months pregnant with Jackson at that point, and lacked the energy to do a whole lot more. Hello.
Are they talking about you?
Tim counts it as the most nervous day of his life. He used the ruse of wanting to celebrate after she had finished up student teaching. He planned to take her to the new Grinch movie, The Grinch is her absolute favorite, and then to dinner at the Cheesecake Factory at Easton Town Center afterward. Everything was going to plan until they arrived at the movie theater. Tim had purchased the wrong movie tickets, and they had missed that movie entirely. Rolling with the punches, they skipped the movie, and Tim insisted that they have dinner at that Cheesecake Factory, while Sydney wanted to head to a different one that didn't have a long wait for a table. As luck or planning would have it, the Easton tree lighting ceremony was taking place, and that Cheesecake Factory just so happened to have a short wait, and they got seated right away. Sydney remembers Tim acting really weird during dinner as he mentioned he had stomach issues and hustled off to the bathroom. Echoing, frantic phone calls were placed to his brother and Thomas from the bathroom at the restaurant to confirm they could make it to take pictures of the proposal. More stomach problems were faked, and more frantic phone calls were placed for confirmation. Tom made it while Thomas got held up in traffic. As they crossed the street after dinner to head to the Christmas tree, Tim grabbed Sydney's hand and told her how much he loved her. It was at that point that he stopped and asked the question significant to both of them. "What would you say if I asked you to marry me?" He dropped to one knee and said, "Will you marry me?" Sydney had the sweetest thoughts first after Tim proposed, and I quote, "I was kind of pissed he told me I didn't have to get dressed up, and now forever I will be wearing an old sweatshirt and glasses in our pictures of that memory." She also remembers thinking, finally. Tim's claim of an upset stomach was further bolstered by the lack of dinner he ate that night, as his nerves were on high alert. He mentions that day only having been overtaken in greatness on the day their son, Jackson Oakley Idens, our fabulous ring bearer, was born. Sydney mentioned that one of her favorite things about Tim, and this is a great skill to possess, is how he can make her laugh when she's beyond angry at him. She also loves how he holds the door for old people, how they have the most fun doing the simplest of things, and how he always puts her and Jackson first and makes them feel so loved. Tim highlighted that Sydney was such an amazing mother to Jackson. He characterized her as passionate and loving, and that she can make him smile when nobody else can. He ended his thoughts about Sydney by saying, "I love her so much, and I'm so happy to be marrying the love of my life." This day is all about love, my friends. The love between Sydney and Tim, their love for Jackson, and the love we see and feel in this room today. Once again, I give you the new Mr. and Mrs. Tim and Sydney Idens.